Alright, what's up guys? Today we're going to be in the garage again working on my big green Ford, getting ready to go to the turkey run in a couple days, and I just got a couple little things that I want to address before we go out of town with it. Don't want to have any issues because, as you guys know, every year we go to the turkey run and always break down. I don't think it's ever a single time made it round trip. So I got a couple things that I want to address to maybe hopefully prevent that from happening this year. But, you know, we'll see. So, first up, something I already did was I swapped out my master cylinder because the one that was on it was this little single pot style that they did in the 60s. So, this new one that I got here is off of a 69 truck, or the part number is for a 69 truck. That's a new master cylinder. So I didn't record that because I had a feeling that it would bolt right in and work, which it did bolt right in. That part was easy, but I got two bad ones before I finally got this one that works and builds pressure and stops. The other thing I did was, I don't know if you can see it, that flexible brake line there going to the front wheels. There's one over on the other side as well. And I went ahead and swapped both of those because this is the one that I took off of the passenger side. That's no bueno. That is a failure waiting to happen. And with that single pot style master cylinder, when that eventually failed, I would have been left with no brakes at all. So I went ahead and fixed all of that. That's all good to go. Little things that I want to do today. I need to tighten up my belt because it squeaks a little bit when I first start my truck. The drain from the battery from the starter, just has to work a little harder to charge it back up, and it just trips a little bit. Not a big deal, just something that bothers me. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. Number 2 on my list is I want to adjust my drum brakes. I've got 4-wheel drum brakes all the way around this truck, and after installing my new master cylinder, I noticed that they're a little soft on the first pump, only the first pump. If I pump it twice, that second pump is good and firm and has pressure. That tells me that my brakes are out of adjustment, so I'm going to go around and adjust those up today. Something else I want to do, I've got new tie rod ends and drag links. I'm going to get those installed at some point. If I don't get to that today, I might do that there, just in the parking lot, because you can't go to the turkey run and not work on your stuff in the parking lot. At least I can't. That's just what I do. And then another thing I want to do is I got this electric fuel pump because, well, it worked fine. The mechanical pump worked fine when I first got my truck. It works fine with the stock tank. When I first got my truck and took the stock tank out, I had a fuel cell up in the bed, and the mechanical pump worked fine for both of those because they're both higher than the fuel pump. So it didn't have any problem, pulling fuel down to it. Now that I've got the Mustang tank underneath the bed all the way in the back, my mechanical pump struggles just a little bit to get the fuel up and going. Once the truck's running, it pulls fuel just fine, but once it's been sitting for a while, it just has a little bit of trouble priming itself. So I got this electric pump that I'm gonna stick in the back right by the tank, maybe a little bit below the tank. We'll see how low I can get it, and that way when I go start my truck, I can control it from the switch panel here. I can just switch on, let it prime for a second, hit the key, get it running, and then turn that back off and let the mechanical pump take over from there. And then in theory, once the truck's running and the mechanical pump's doing its thing, even though this pump is off, the fuel can still flow through it. So we'll see how well that works. I might end up on the side of the road pulling it out and putting a splice back in my fuel line. But that's what this channel's for, so you guys get to come along and see what it is I'm doing. Alright, so with that, all being said, let's get to work on the truck. Alright, so my belt's adjusted, that's done, ready to go. My brakes are adjusted. I didn't get as much adjustment as I was hoping to out of them, so I'm thinking I might re-bleed them again and see if I can firm them up a little more in that first pump. But I'm going to take a break for that for now. Next I'm going to work on getting my fuel pump installed. Angle aluminum here out of my scrap pile. I'm going to notch it out so that it sits down flush with that, and then drill a hole in the bottom for a bolt that's already in my dash, and then get this bolted up under the dash. And then I have an outlet in there that I already installed, and it has a fuse. I'm just going to tie this into that since it's already fused, and then it'll be as easy as plumbing this and running a wire back there to it. So let's get on it. Alright, so I just made up this bracket real quick. It's just a piece of angled aluminum, and looks like it's gonna fit. I found these bolts in my leftover parts bucket because for some reason it came with like wood screws as the mounting hardware, so I'm not going to use those. So I've got these bolts. I just need to drill out these holes a little more, but they go in here just fine. Obviously they're obnoxiously too long, but I can cut them down. That's not an issue. So let's go ahead and do that and get this in the truck and get this done. Alright guys, I finally got wrapped up with my new fuel pump install. Didn't really plan on that taking 2 days, but here I am on the second day. That's how my stuff usually goes. But I'm finally done with that. So let's go in here, take a peek how it turned out. So there we go. Here's my switch panel installed. It comes on with the key, and then this one's my fuel pump, so you can hear it on. And then I've got a little voltmeter so that, you know, I've had electrical issues before. Maybe I can catch those a little sooner now. And then a phone charger, kind of nice. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Maybe I'll do an interior light. Maybe I'll do a high beam. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. And then let's go under the truck. And that's the install. That's the fuel pump. When I installed the Mustang tank back there, I used 3/8 fuel line, so I had to step it down to 5/16 for the fuel pump. But it worked out. It's not leaking. So now we just got to see if the truck cold starts any better. Hopefully it will. Anyway, I think that's gonna be. Ow! Just cramped up. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'll do my tie rod ends another day, probably in the parking lot somewhere at the turkey run, because that's how I do things. So anyway, I'll see you guys later at the turkey run.